the ambassador to Kenya, Chol Ajonjo, is assuring the international community that the two feuding leaders have a ceasefire agreement in place. He says Riek, Machar and Salva Kirr have begun talking. The fighting has since stopped and they hope the ceasefire will hold this time round. He also says the airport has opened, allowing the evacuation and is under the protection of the South Sudan Army. NTV's Brenda Wanga has been following just that concluded press conference. Brenda, do you get a sense that we are making headway here?
Well, Trevor, we are here at the South Sudan Embassy in Nairobi, where that's a country's ambassador to Kenya has just concluded giving a press briefing where he insists the ceasefire called yesterday by the President of South Sudan and his deputy is holding that fighting has in that country, and that they are hoping that that cessation of hostilities will hold for the duration until this issue is actually resolved completely. He also did tell us that, as requested by IGAD and other regional leaders, that the airport to Juba has been opened and that people are free to fly in and out, that the army of that country is currently providing security for anyone wishing to go in and out of Juba. Trevor.
And some NGOs are calling for sanctions. Is that one way of dealing with it? Because I heard the ambassador earlier on say that peace cannot exactly be forced. Will the sanctions even help?
Well, Trevor, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly, but if you're talking about sanctions, this is an issue that came up yesterday during the IGAD ministerial meeting that was held in Nairobi to discuss this issue. However, the government of South Sudan, represented here in Nairobi by the ambassador Chol Ajonjo, says that the current situation in South Sudan does not necessitate or call for the calling of sanctions anymore, that they have the situation under control. But on the other hand, he says that the rebel side that he says the government blames for the outbreak of this recent round of fighting should come to the table together with the president and find a way of implementing the August 2015 peace agreement. Trevor?
Yeah, Brenda, you were covering the press briefing as well by Robert Godek earlier on. That was yesterday, and you raised the question whether these people have control over their armies. Did that question come up for the ambassador again today?
Trevor, if you could kindly repeat the question again.
Yeah, the question revolves around the control of the army factions, the separate army factions, that for Machar and the one for Kirr. Robert Godek earlier on questioned whether they have absolute control of their armies. Did that question come up for the ambassador again?
Yes, indeed, Trevor, we did put that question to the ambassador, and he still insists and maintains that the government side at least has control of the military, and that is why when the president called for a cessation of hostilities, the army obeyed that order. However, he says that the opposition or the rebel side of the army has had a splinter group, so they're not quite sure whether the deputy president is still in control of his entire army, or there is a splinter group that is working in isolation from the other side of the same opposition. Trevor?
All right, Brenda, before I let you go, do you get a sense of confusion here? Because now the ambassador is saying that they have a ceasefire in place, and yet there was also a peace deal that was signed last year. Is it the same ceasefire he's talking about, or is it now a different one that's coming up altogether?
Well, Trevor, the ambassador is speaking for the government of South Sudan, and he insists that from where they sit, the ceasefire is on, and it is the hope of his government and the people of South Sudan, who he says are the main victim of this infighting, that this ceasefire will hold. And they are hoping, according to what he tells us, that they will be keeping tabs on both armies to ensure that no one breaks this ceasefire.